Good afternoon, class 7th. Today is your day 5, in which we will be starting with the new chapter Nutrition in Animals. Okay, I hope all of you have completed the notes of chapter 1 and written them down properly in your copy with all the questions are completed. So, let us start with the new chapter today. Okay, that is Nutrition in Animals. Okay, so as you know and you saw in the last chapter, herbivores, carnivores, or omnivores, all of these are heterotrophs, right? So, all of these kinds of animals cannot simply make their own food. So, they are dependent on other organisms for food. Okay, so herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores, these three types of heterotrophs are all animals. Herbivores rely on plants, carnivores rely on the plant eating animals, and omnivores rely on dead and scavenging animals. Okay, so these three types of animals exist. So, animal nutrition involves nutrient requirement, that is, mode of intake of food and utilization in the body. Okay, so you remember in class 6th, you had studied about the components of food. So, what were they? They were your carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and roughage. So, you had studied these components of food. Now, we'll see how the body utilizes this. So, any animal nutrition requires the nutrient requirement, then it has to intake the food in some or the other form. So, there are various forms in which animals intake food, and finally, the body has to utilize it. Okay, so let's see some methods of intaking food. So now you can open up your NCRT books to your activity 2.1. The first activity. So you have to write down these animals, the names of these animals, what kind of food they eat, and how or what is their mode of feeding. So, food and modes of feeding in animals. The first animal is snail. So, snails eat grass and they chew the grass. Okay, so chewing is the mode of feeding. Next one, ant. So, ants eat insects. Okay, ants eat smaller insects and their mode of feeding is scrapping. Okay, next one is eagle. Eagle eats flesh, that is meat, and their mode of feeding is swallowing. They don't have teeth to chew, so they simply swallow the food. Okay. The next one is a hummingbird. Hummingbird and also bees. They both eat nectar. Bees is honeybees, and they eat nectar by sucking. The next one is lice. Now, lice is a kind of a parasite, okay, that exists in hair and all. So, its food is blood and it drinks blood by sucking, okay. The next one is a mosquito and it also drinks blood and its mode of feeding is also sucking. The next one is a butterfly. You have all seen butterflies. Now, their kind of food is also nectar and they also feed by sucking. The last one is a housefly. Okay, the flies that you see at your home. Now, their food is decaying matter and their mode of feeding is brewing. Okay, so they brew on the decaying matter and then suck organism or nutrients from it. All right. Now here I want all of you to open your NCRT books to the below the activity where they have written about digestion. From there you will write down the definition of digestion. Okay, there's a question at the end also. So the process of breaking down complex compounds in the body to simpler compounds is called digestion. So we'll start off with digestive system of human beings. Write that definition in your copy. To start things off, you will be first of all drawing a neat and clean labeled diagram of the human alimentary canal. So draw this diagram in your copy, then we'll go through each and every part slowly. Okay, you can either pause the video here, you can look in your book also, there's the same diagram there, and you can draw this entire video. I'll just tell you the parts. The first one is buccal cavity, that is Buccal, salivary gland, esophagus, it's pronounced as esophagus, okay. Then next one is liver, then is your gallbladder, stomach, pancreas, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and anus. So pause the video here and keep on drawing this neatly and cleanly. Okay, so the first part of the digestive system that we need to study is the buccal cavity. Okay, the buccal cavity, Buccal. Do not make spelling mistake in this one. So the buccal cavity is also known as the mouth. So the scientific name for mouth is buccal cavity. Okay, it marks the beginning of the digestive system. That is, this is the first place where your food goes in, that is through your mouth. So this is the initial part of the digestive system. It starts at your lips, you know, the front opening portion of your mouth, that is your lips. It consists of the oral cavity. Now your oral cavity is the entire space inside your mouth. Okay, then is your tongue. You all know what is your tongue, the strongest muscular organ. Okay, then is your jaw. Your jaw is the portion of your mouth that moves up and down. And then finally comes your throat. Your throat is below your jaw, okay, from where the next organ will be passing through. So all of this consists of the buccal cavity. You can draw this diagram also. And while digestion is its primary function, it also plays an equally important role in communication, that is, to development of sound and speech. So not only digestion, it's also important for sound and speech. You talk with the help of your mouth only, no, and your throat. So development of sounds in the body is also another function of buccal cavity. Okay, so you can pause the slide here if you want to look at it further. So let's move on to the next one, and that is your esophagus. Now the esophagus is your muscular tube in your neck, okay, which takes food from your mouth to your stomach. So the swallowed food passes into the esophagus from the mouth. Okay, the saliva in the mouth wet it properly so that it can pass easily through the esophagus. Okay, that is why if you take too much food, you can feel a certain choke. That is pressure being applied on your esophagus. So as you can see here, the food passes through this pipe. It runs through your alimentary canal. Okay, the entire pipe from your mouth to the anus is a single pipe. Okay, and this entire thing is called the alimentary canal of human beings. That is why your diagram is called human alimentary canal. Okay, so now this esophagus runs along the neck and your chest, where you can feel your ribcage. So it runs through there, through your chest and into the stomach. Now the walls of the food pipe move to push the food down into the stomach. So these walls have muscles in them, and these muscles keep on moving so as to contract and expand to push the food into the stomach. Okay, And the human esophagus is approximately, it's a fun fact, you should know this, is 25 centimeters long. All right. So the human esophagus is about 25 centimeters long. So you can imagine how long it is. And then this esophagus reaches the stomach. So let's move on to stomach now. You can pause it and write and draw the diagram, and then we'll move on to stomach. After the food pipe, the food enters your stomach. So today we will also be studying about stomach. Okay. So now when the food enters your stomach is a largest muscular organ in your body. Okay. Now it is a thin walled bag kind of a structure. All right. It is flattened and it is U-shaped and is the widest part of the alimentary canal. So it is really wide in structure so that all your food can be stored inside this. So after reaching to stomach, you can pause the video and keep on writing also together. So after reaching the stomach, food rests in it for about 4 to 5 hours. Okay. And then there are some acidic gastric juices that the stomach produces to help the digestion of the food. So it gets mixed with these gastric juices. Okay. Gastric juices are juices secreted by your stomach itself to help digest the food. So let's see what all these gastric juices contain. What acids do these juices contain? So gastric juice contains hydrochloric acid. Okay. And it also contains two enzymes, pepsin and renin. So these two enzymes along with hydrochloric acid. So the function now of the hydrochloric acid is, you will write this down clearly. Function of the hydrochloric acid is to convert the inactivated form of pepsin. Now the pepsin which the stomach released is inactivated. Okay. This hydrochloric acid activates this pepsin and brings it into activated form so that pepsin can act on your food. Okay. The protein in your food is digested by this pepsin. So first the hydrochloric acid activates the pepsin released by the stomach, and then this pepsin now digests your protein in the food. So you can see there's a reaction in the stomach taking place, that is your proteins in the presence of pepsin breaks down into proteases plus peptides. So these are in the form now which they can be absorbed into the body. Hence, one more time, you will remember this. Gastric juices contain hydrochloric acid. Now this hydrochloric acid act on pepsin. Pepsin is also released by the stomach, and pepsin, it is inactivated when it's released by the stomach. So what the hydrochloric acid does is it activates it so that the pepsin can now react on the protein inside your food, and it breaks down into proteases and peptides. So this is one important thing. So you can draw this stomach in the human digestive system, human alimentary canal. So now let's see what are its functions. Now, the function of the stomach, write down the heading. So what is the function of the stomach? The inner lining of muscle inside your stomach, it secretes hydrochloric acid as you just studied. It also secretes some mucus, and it secretes digestive juices such as your pepsin and your renin. So digestive juices, pepsin and renin break down proteins in your food. Now the inner lining of the stomach also, you saw, has released some mucus. Now what is the purpose of this mucus? Now as you all might have heard, hydrochloric acid is used in chemistry labs also, and it is a very corrosive acid. It's a very dangerous acid, right? So why are they secreted? Do they have any importance? So the mucus secreted by the stomach protects the muscles of the stomach itself. The inner lining of the stomach, the mucus protects it. So you have heard of the term acidity. Now what happens in acidity is when you eat too much fatty food, the stomach has to release more and more acid so as to help digest it. So because of that increase in acid in the stomach, we feel certain pain in our stomach due to acidity. Okay, and that is why you have to drink in something basic or something light to neutralize the acid in the stomach. So that is why acidity occurs due to that reason in our stomach when we eat too much unhealthy food. Okay, so that is why the mucus normally protects the silver inside lining, inner lining of your stomach. So the hydrochloric acid secreted by the stomach kills the bacteria that enter the stomach through food. So this acid also kills any bacteria that has entered your food through the stomach. It also makes the medium of the stomach acidic. So it's an acid. So overall medium is acidic to facilitate digestion. Now what happens is the digestive juices secreted by the stomach take part in the process of digestion by breaking down the food into smaller substances. For example, pepsin breaks the proteins into polypeptides, and renin, what it does is it changes soluble milk proteins into curd, which is insoluble. Okay, so overall, what all did we study again in the stomach? Hydrochloric acid, mucus, and then pepsin and renin. Four things. So hydrochloric acid, one, kills any germs, and two, activates the pepsin. The mucus protects the stomach and its inner lining from the hydrochloric acidic medium. And when the acid is too much, that's when you experience acidity. So to neutralize the acid, you take something basic, right? Like you take milk or you take eno, things like that to neutralize the excess acid. So that is also what your acidity is. And then it also releases pepsin and it releases renin. Pepsin, after being activated by the hydrochloric acid, what does it do? It digests the proteins in your food. And renin, it changes soluble milk proteins into curd. Now some interesting facts. The human stomach can hold up to 1.5 liters of material. It's that large, it can hold up to 1.5 liters of material. Now, on an average, the stomach produces 2 liters of acid every day. Think about that. It produces 2 liters of acid every day. Okay, and last one, food stays in the stomach for about 2 to 3 hours. It stays in there for 2 to 3 hours before moving on to the next parts of your alimentary canal. Alright, so for today's class, we will study this much and then we'll continue on with the other topics in the next class. Okay, that is with the other parts in the alimentary canal. Okay. Okay, so I hope you understood today's class. So now we'll do some questions in your copy for today. The first question is differentiate between buccal cavity and esophagus. So what are the differences? So you will write down 3 points of differences in each. Buccal cavity 3 points, and for esophagus 3 points. You will be writing them down. Now the second question, the honeybee consumes dash by dash. So you have to write what food it consumes and how it consumes it. Okay, if you are listening closely in the video, you know the answer to this one. Okay, it's not there in the table at the starting, but I have said the answer somewhere in the video. So I hope you were listening closely. All right. The third question is again, define digestion. I have said the answer in the video again. If you were listening closely, you would know the answer. So write the definition of digestion. And the last one, draw a neat and clean label diagram of the human digestive system. So you will draw the diagram again in the answer here. Okay, neatly and cleanly label it, and you write everything and write the heading human alimentary canal in it. Put the diagram in a box. Okay, so in today's class, what all did we study? We studied that animals which are heterotrophs are of three types: herbivorous, carnivorous, and omnivorous. All of them depend on nutrients for their survival, and therefore they have certain digestive processes. And we learned about the digestive process in human beings. We started it, and we looked at the some major components of the digestive system. The first one was your buccal cavity. Buccal cavity consisted of your mouth, your throat, and your jaw, etc. Right? So all of these came under buccal cavity. And then we learned about the esophagus, which is the long pipe about 25 centimeter in length, which brings the food down into your stomach. And finally, we learned about your stomach, where the major digestion starts taking place, where the stomach produces mucus and hydrochloric acid and pepsin and renin, and all of them had their functions so as to how and what they contribute to in the digestive process. So that's it for today's class. We will be continuing with this topic in the next class. Till then, all of you take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and complete your notes. Meet you in the next class. Bye.